Hi, friends. This is Monica Ramirez. I am one of the co-founders of Poderistas. It is so nice to be here with you today. I don't know about you, but it has been a day, and I'm sure that maybe some of you are having that day also. So I'm just so happy that you're joining us to have this conversation. You know, this is the third conversation that we're having in our Know Your Rights series. And I am super thrilled that we get to have a new guest on to talk to us about some of our rights and to learn a little bit more about a new area of law. As you know, for us in the Poderistas community, we want to make sure that we are lifting each other up, that we are using all the power that we have, and we know that knowing our rights is part of being able to use the power that we have. So today I have a super special guest who is joining us. We are going to be joined in just a few minutes by Cristina Alvarez, who is going to talk to us about family law. And we're just so pleased to be doing this partnership with Hermanas in the Law. As you know, we've already had a couple of conversations and we've talked about different areas. And so for those of you who are tuning in, just go on and pop any comments that you have into the chat. And I'm going to bring Cristina on in just a minute. I see that she's trying to join, so let's get her into the conversation and then we can start to learn a little bit more together about family law. Let me see if I can find her. I think I saw a comment from her saying she's trying to join. Here we are. Let's see. Let's see. Sometimes the IG lives, they work out perfectly, and then sometimes there's some little hiccups. So thank you for being patient as we try to work through some of the little hiccups. I hope you're having a great day today. Here we go. I think she's coming. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How's it going?
Good, it's going good. Thank you for
I'm so
having
happy to
me.
see you.
Yes, me too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before you jumped on, I was telling folks I've been having a day today. I don't know how your day is going, but my day has been a little bumpy. So I'm so
Yeah.
happy to see you and we get to have this fun conversation together.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here and I appreciate you all reaching out to me and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to give the hot tea on the family law
Let's
topic.
let's get to it. Okay, so I've already told folks that you were joining us, but I think that it is super important for us at the top of this conversation. People need to know who you are and how incredible you are and all the wonderful work that you're doing. So I know that you might feel a little bit shy about this part, but I'm going to read your bio because people need to know you. They need to
Okay,
know you, Christina.
let's do
So
it.
let me share a little bit about you. So Christina received her Bachelor of Arts in Legal Studies and a minor in Spanish language from the University of Central Florida. And during her undergraduate studies, she worked as a paralegal for small and large law firms in the Orlando area. This experience confirmed her lifelong dream to attend law school. We're going to get into that in a minute, just a sec. She graduated with her JD from Barry University School of Law in Orlando in 2014, and while in law school, she worked as a certified legal intern for the Department of Children and Families in the Ninth Judicial Circuit in Orlando. This allowed her to represent the state's interest in protecting abused and or abandoned children under the supervision of licensed attorneys, which is so hard. So thank you for doing that work. And after she received her license to practice in 2014, she became of counsel at a small Central Florida family law firm where she managed the family law department and maintained her own solo practice. She also serves on the executive board of the Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida since 2015. She served as the 2019 president of HBACF, and she's committed to advocating for the rights of minority communities, and she's passionate about being the voice for the voiceless. Ms. Alvarez, Christina as we call her here, has handled hundreds of cases with complex legal issues throughout the Central Florida region, particularly in the areas of paternity and dissolutions of marriage. She prides herself on effective communication with all parties involved in order to reach the best resolution possible for her clients without the cost of litigation. She provides compassionate and zealous legal representation for her clients in the areas of family law, probate, estate planning, and other areas to produce resolutions that are fruitful and beneficial, great results for her clients. So Christina, thank you for being here. And did you know what we have in common?
What do we have in common? No.
I started my legal practice in Florida.
Oh,
And way back when, in 2003, when I created my legal project there, I spent a lot of time in the area where you live. I actually used to work with and represent women who were fern farm workers who are in the Apopka area.
oh
So
yeah, yeah.
we have some, and I also spent a ton of time in Plant City and all those little Central Florida communities. So we've got that in common.
Awesome.
I know. All right. So I know that you know, but for those who are tuning in, we just want to remind you that the reason that we made the decision, Poderistas and Hermanas in the Law, to create this series of conversations is because we think it's important for everybody to know their rights. And sometimes people think about lawyers and they like we're like the last people that people want to talk to,
Yeah.
but we have something to say, right? We want people to know how to protect our interests. So I want to know about you, and not like the you in your bio. I want to know about the you, like little girl growing up. Like, how did you decide you wanted to be a lawyer? Like, what led you here?
Yeah. So thank you for that beautiful introduction. So yeah, I joke around that I've been a lawyer since I was 10 years old. I had a teacher in the 5th grade who used to have a program for students, and we all used to have different jobs. You could pick what job you wanted. And so I decided that I was going to be a lawyer. And so I wore my mom's suit and I had her stockings, and
Nice.
I set up a little table and I was taking homework cases. So I was representing my classmates in not turning in their assignments or turning them in late, and they would pay me tickets for that. And so you could take your tickets and go to the store that she had like little goodies there and purchase items, with the money that you earned. So I joke around that I've had my law practice open since I was 10 years old.
I love it.
Yeah. And I was always about, representing people and speaking for people. And actually that same class year, the 5th grade, I was class president as well. So I've always been into leadership as well, and being on boards and leading those boards eventually. So it's just always been in my heart. I used to speak on behalf of my sister as well, my younger sister, when we would get into trouble. And my parents would be like, who did this? And I'd be like, well, she didn't do it, and here's why. And my mom was so upset. She'd be like, let her speak for herself. I'm like, no. So we joke around too in my family that like I'm still her lawyer. So
That's so funny. Well,
yeah.
first of all, I love that when you were a 10-year-old, you were like, I'm not only going to be a fierce Latina homework student lawyer, I am also going to be a styling Latina lawyer. And your mom, Sue, I appreciate that you were very thoughtful about your outfit choice.
Yes,
That's great.
yeah,
Of course.
of course.
But okay. So, in these conversations that we've had to date about the law, well, first of all, we know that we are hugely underrepresented. Latinas are about 1% of the legal profession.
Yes.
And
Oh,
so
God, 4%. It went down to 1%?
we're about one of the Latinas of the whole profession. We're about one. And so you like at 10 years old knew that you wanted to be a lawyer. I don't even know how you knew what a lawyer was at 10 years old, but the law is so complex. There's so many different areas of law. I think sometimes when people think about lawyers, they kind of maybe think that we learn about all of it and that we know all of the law. And in the truth, we know is the law is immense, and there's no way that one lawyer could know everything. So how did you narrow, sort of zoom in on the area of law that you're practicing, especially since, when you were this like student lawyer, education law is a very different area of law than where you landed. So how did you land with family law?
So it just naturally stuck to me. I mean, I've just always been really good at calming people down. I've always been really good at persuading people to maybe do things that they don't want to do sometimes, and leveling with people. And I'm very relatable. And so for me, it just felt like a natural fit. When these clients come to me, they're in the worst possible position in their life.
Yeah.
So they come to me, without having housing. They don't have a car to drive. They've just been laid off from their job, or they were a homemaker and never had a job, and now they don't know how they're going to survive. And so for me, I just felt like that was the natural area of practice, because I wanted to make that direct impact on people. So it's funny, I was clerking for an attorney and he started picking up family law cases. This is my 3rd year of law school. And I went to take the bar. And then when I was done, I came back. And it's funny, when I came back, he said to me, well, here's the thing. I advertised for a bunch of other family law cases, and I have this whole stack of cases. And when you pass the bar, I need you to work on these.
Wow.
I was like,
wow.
Okay, like that works for me, because that's what I wanted to do anyway. And I had expressed that to him. He was actually an immigration lawyer. And
Okay.
I could not do immigration. It broke my heart. Like I would cry over the denials. I just couldn't do it. So it worked out for both of us, where he was taking this new practice area on and I was able to like lead that department. And then eventually, you know, him and I became partners, and then eventually, you know, that didn't work out and I went solo. But it just always felt natural to me, and I'm good with the crazy. Like all my mentors tell me that you're really good with the crazy. Like they'll call me and be like, I have this really weird situation that I haven't had in 20 years. And I'm like, oh yeah, I had that situation last week. Like, here's what you do. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the joke is I practice law on the dark web.
I see in your expression, I can feel it, you know, and hear it in your voice. Like your heart is so into your work. Your heart is so into serving the people who you serve. And, you know, thank you for naming the fact that when people are going through a family crisis and need the help of a family attorney, it is such a difficult emotional time. So I'm so happy for your clients to know that they have you because you are putting your heart into the work. And, you know, with Poderistas and our work and trying to lift up Latinas and really showcasing the work that Latinas are doing across the country and all the ways that we're bringing our full selves into whatever we're doing. I'd love to know more. Not only how are you bringing your full self as this compassionate, human, natural leader, but how would you say that you bring your culture, our culture, into your work and into the representation of those you serve?
Yes, and I'm so glad that you asked this question. So I am half Cuban. My father is actually Cuban American. So my grandmother is the one who immigrated from Cuba. And my mother is Italian. She was born in Italy. So my mother is very, very Italian. So I have, you know, those kind of dual cultures. And, you know, about 80% of my clients are Hispanic. Central Florida, particularly the county that I'm in, is full of Hispanic people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, also in my firm, I hire diverse women. Not that we don't hire men. We have hired men before, but for some reason they don't make it. We eat them. I don't know what happens there. But I hire diverse women of all cultures. I'm very, very proud of that. I kind of tear up a little bit because it was my dream to have that kind of firm where young, diverse women were represented and appreciated and heard. Because a lot of the times in law school, I'm sure you have this experience, they push the big law on you. Big law, that's the only way to make it. Big law. And not anything against big law, because that's for some people, but I don't think that they have their departments and their diversity initiative and everything like that, right? But I don't think that they value us maybe as much as we deserve to be valued. And so it was really important for me to build the firm that I have now, which is full of very diverse women. Most of them are actually on the live at the moment right now. And so that's how I brought, you know, our culture and represented within, you know, my community and my firm.
It's so great. And also, you know, when we talk about women who are in the law, Latina lawyers and yourself, like, you're an entrepreneur, you're creating jobs, you're like helping to make your community stronger by giving people wonderful opportunities through your law firm. Thank you for that too, because we need to shout that out as well.
Yeah.
So I totally hear you on law school. Law school, for those of us who have gone through it, it's very difficult and not a lot of representation. When I was in law school, you know, a few years ago, I'm not going to call out how many years ago I was in law school, but a while ago when I was in law school, like, there were five Latinos in my class in law school. Like, so there wasn't huge representation, and it's difficult to make it through. So thank you for creating those opportunities. You know, I'm sure that there are students in your area who are also getting to engage with you as
Yeah.
interns and other capacities. That's amazing.
That
And
is
so,
that is one of my passion projects. I mentor a lot of Latina lawyers with business questions, you know, strategy questions, even questions about the local organizations. I dedicate a lot of my time to doing that, and I'm happy to do that because someone did it for me and
mm,
helped me get here, and so it's my duty right now to pay it forward and make sure that I help those people come up as well.
yeah, and you know, that's a great segue to my next question, which is, so, you know, we talked at the top of the hour about the fact that Latina lawyers, well, women are underrepresented, Latina lawyers are very underrepresented in the profession. And from your vantage point, why do you think it is important for Latinas to become lawyers? Or, you know, through your bio, we read that you were a paralegal, like you've played lots of roles in the legal profession. And so, from your vantage point, why is it important that we show up in all of these different roles in the profession?
I think it's important for our community and for the clients that we serve. You know, like you said at the beginning, when people come into your office with a legal issue, they're not happy to be there. Unless, you know, it's an adoption. I do those as well, and that's very happy. But, you know, when they're
Mm-hmm.
getting divorced or, you know, their mom just passed away, they're not happy to see you. They're coming to you at a really low point in their life. And I think it's important for them to have those options, like to have somebody that looks like them, right? That understands their culture. For instance, I have a very good client of mine. He's Cuban American, and he called me yesterday, and the way that he was speaking and all the expressions he was using in the slang, I fully understood him, right? And you know, I was
Yeah.
able to sympathize with him because I understand where he's coming from and some of the traditions he was talking to me about because I'm Cuban American. So I know he feels comfortable with me because I come from his background. So we're able to relate. And it's more than just I'm your lawyer, I give you legal advice. Like, no, I'm here to help you to a better life, not just fix your legal problem and peace out, see you later. Um,
Yeah.
so it's important for them to feel comfortable because I think we have this impression of lawyers that, you know, you go into the office and it's full of like wood and old dusty books and, you know, there's four old white guys with, you know, all their last names on the door. I'm sorry, it's how it is, unfortunately. And I think it's important to show the community and the clients that there are other options. You know, you can hire
Mm-hmm.
an attorney that looks like you and understands where you come from.
Yeah, and what I love, you know, is that you because you have your own law office, you know, when people are going through the yellow pages, if those exist anymore, I'm not sure if those exist anymore, but if those
Come on.
exist anymore, or whatever it is on, you know, whoever they're searching for legal representation, they find you and they see your last name, right? It's a Latinx surname. And so I think that says something too. And so why did you make the decision that you said, I don't want to work in someone else's firm. I want to have my own firm. I want to create a firm. And you talked a little bit about representation, but what else is driving you? Because being an owner of anything is a ton of work and a ton of responsibility. What led you to say, I'm going to not only be a Latino lawyer and I'm not only going to be a lawyer in this profession, but I'm going to be an owner of my own law firm?
Yeah, so there's a quote that says, you know, if you either work for yourself or you're building somebody else's dream. And
Mm,
I had worked in a law firm since I was 19 years old. I'm 34 now. So when you read my bio, you know, I've done every job in the law firm pretty much. I've been
yeah.
literally like the file clerk with physical files to like filing files away till my hands were bleeding. That's not even, you know, an exaggeration. um, at one of the biggest PI actually firms here in town. So I started there and I just worked my way up and I did every single job. And when I graduated law school, I thought, you know what, like I have the support to do this. I had several mentors backing me, you know, telling me that I could do this. They would help me. They would guide me. I was obviously gonna make mistakes, but you know, unless you try, you never know. So for me, I just felt like, okay, I've done every position in the law firm, right, except for attorney. So now I'm going to do that position, and that would give me the freedom that I wanted as well. I didn't want to be tied to the billable hour and
Mm.
stressing about making quotas and stressing about the firm politics. I really don't like that, the whole firm politic thing. And then the third thing was, I wanted to build my dream, which again was to have, this firm of diverse women working with me that I could support and uplift and, like you said, create jobs for. So it's a team effort in my office. And everything I do, I always think about what my staff is my staff gonna reap the benefit of that? It's not just about me, it's about their lives as well. And so it was hard. I did it the first year that I became an attorney. So I opened my practice in
Wow.
2014 and I passed the bar in 2014. So I had no formal training other than my staff positions before becoming an attorney. So it was a lot of trial and error, but I was terrified when I did it. If anybody tells you that they open their office and they're just like, the clients are going to come and it's going to be amazing and everything's going to work out great, they're lying to you. It was very, very difficult. I wear a lot of hats still, 7 years later. But when I look back, it was the right decision for me and it was the right decision for my family, because now I'm a mom. I just had a baby in March.
Congrats.
Thank you. And she's 4 months old. Yes, and I'm able to stay home with her Wednesdays and Fridays. I am here with my daughter, enjoying that time, and not tied to a billable hour or a meeting. I create my own time. So it's definitely been beneficial. It's worked out the way that I wanted it to.
You're so brave. I just want to give you a huge shout out because what you're doing is so hard. I can't imagine just out of law school creating my own firm. And so huge congrats, many kudos to you because it's brave. And you've talked a lot about mentors and mentorship. And for folks who are tuning in, if you didn't know Christina before, you need to not only know her, but tell other people, because we need to know about the Christinas in our country who are breaking barriers and setting out on their own to create the law firms and to fulfill the dreams that they have. And so thank you for being that example for the community and for other folks who are in law school. There are people right now we know that are getting ready to take the bar exam. So I'm sure this is a very timely conversation for some of them. All right, so let's talk about the law. We know it's complicated. We know there are many choices, and family law, I'm grateful that you've brought up the different kinds of family law that people's lives are touched by, because I think sometimes maybe people only think of divorce, or they only think of certain things being family law. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time. Could you help us understand, in the universe of what is considered family law, what are some of the key areas that you think we need to know about? And could you just define them? Because sometimes people throw words out and I don't know that everyone knows what we're talking about. When people say estate planning or whatever, what are you talking about? So I'd love to hear it from you.
That's so funny. I tell my clients, if I start to sound like a lawyer, please stop me, because I do this all day long. And sometimes, I don't realize what I'm saying is a legal jargon, right? So I guess we'll start with family law. So family law includes divorces, it includes child support, it includes modifications. So maybe you entered into a parenting plan and things have changed with the time sharing with the kids and you want to modify that time sharing. It includes relocation. So if you were living somewhere at one point and now you want to move to maybe another state, but you already have an agreement about the time sharing with your kids, you'd have to file for relocation on that. It includes alimony as part of usually the dissolutions. So my favorite, which is contempt, which is when somebody isn't paying their child support according to the current court order, or they're not giving time sharing according to the current parenting plan. Those are always my favorite. So it includes that. I do step parent adoptions. So there's blended families and the step parent wants to adopt that child. Those are amazing. I love doing those. So that's kind of an overview of what that includes.
Okay, now, so tell us I know you have this special arrangement right now because you just had your baby, but tell us what's a regular day in your life look like? If someone was to say, I want to be a family law lawyer, like this is what I should expect from my day. What is that like?
So, as all good lawyers do, I get up in the morning and I check my email. Well, lately, I'm making a practice of praying before I get up to check my email, starting off my day a little bit less chaotic. But then I check my email, I go through it, I forward the emails and the tasks that need to be done to my fabulous staff who told me to stop bombarding them with emails. Um,
People keep contacting you. I mean, what, you can't help it.
yeah, but I'm like fast and furious with it. I'm like, do this, do this, do this. So I, give all the tasks out, and then usually I'll log onto my computer at that point, and just kind of go through my tasks that I've set for myself and see if there's anything I need to draft. Are there documents I'm missing from a client? Sometimes I get negotiation emails from the other side on parenting plans that they want to negotiate, or marital settlement agreements. And so we'll do those emails. Obviously, court. I have hearings, trials, a lot of mediations. So in the county I'm in, we're required to go to a mediation, which is, if you all don't know what that is, it's a time for all the parties to sit down with a neutral person and try to come to an agreement so that we can avoid going to trial. I'm a big proponent of settling cases because it gives my clients control over their lives, as opposed to let's go to a big, long, expensive trial that you don't want to go to. In order to have somebody who doesn't know you make a decision after hearing about your life for maybe 4 to 8 hours.
Mm.
So I do a lot of mediations. I'm very successful in settling cases because I think that's the best thing for the clients, in my opinion. And so I do that, and then I review documents that my staff gives to me. Give them okay, looks good. They send it out, and then I just kind of go through some of the business stuff at the end of the day. So, it looks really glamorous to own your own firm, right? Like I'm on this amazing Instagram live right now, but sometimes I am literally doing bills, which is not fun.
Yeah.
Except for, obviously the getting paid part. Oh, I'm getting a request to marry somebody on here. That's interesting.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
I'm already married,
That-
sorry. So
I can't even see those comments.
that is hilarious. So yes, I do the admin stuff usually at the end of the day, and then kind of look through all my tasks to see what I have to do for the next day. So sometimes it's exciting and sometimes it's super boring. It just depends.
But you do, so this is like the day in your life of lawyering, but we heard you have leadership positions in the community. You're mentoring people.
Yeah.
How are you managing all of those wonderful activities? Because I think some of us think about our jobs and they're like, we can't do more than what we have. How are you making room? And what advice do you have for folks who are thinking about going into law about how to find that balance? And what do you have for folks who are starting their practice and they're saying, I want to be just like Christina, but how? How can we manage all of this?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I get asked that question a lot. So, I mean, I wish I had the perfect answer, but I'm just going to tell you what I do. Um, as things are coming in, I respond to them. Today, for instance, in between talking to you, I had a meeting with another attorney for some work that, we want to do together. And then right after that, I had a mentee of mine call me about an organization situation. And I just made time for her, and said, I'm going to help you. It takes me 5 minutes to send you an email for you to get you the support that you need. And then after this, I have to do another call back to another friend of mine who we do cases together. And so I'm just intentional, I think, about like what it is that I want to do and what I want to dedicate my time to. So, no is a complete sentence. And I am learning that now that I do have a baby that requires my time and attention around the clock. But I think, like I said, it's about being intentional, being purposeful. So for me right now, if it doesn't fit into like my purpose as an attorney or as a mentor or as a community leader, then I don't do it. So,
Mm.
if I maybe get asked to be like on a committee for something that, I'm not really like that excited about, just to be on it, I'm like, that really doesn't fit into my schedule at the moment because I have to be so intentional about where my.
Mm-hmm. And so you've talked a little bit about mentors. You are a great mentor to others, but who are some of the mentors who have helped you become who you are and who have supported you on this journey?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. So first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida. I joined that organization right out of law school, after graduating and passing the bar, and that has been the best thing that I have ever done for myself. There's so many attorneys in that organization that have helped me and given me business advice and referred me cases when I was brand new. Just had faith in me that I would do a good job and referred me cases. And so definitely Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida. There's another mentor of mine. Her name is Maytel Bonham. I don't know if she's on here, but she's a 20-year practicing Cuban family law attorney as well. I actually met her before I went to take the bar, and I had a conversation with her, and she told me, don't worry, you're going to be okay. And I remember sitting in that restaurant with her and thinking, I'm going to make her my mentor, and we're going to be friends. And
I
you know
love
what's
that.
interesting? We are. I go to her house. I call her Titi Maytel to my baby. And she's just been amazing in my journey. Helped me during maternity leave when I was in a pinch. Helped my staff as well during that maternity leave. And she's just been there for me. There's another attorney who I was partners with, as I mentioned before, who I used to clerk for in law school. His name is Juan de la Torre. Shout out to him as well. He really had faith in me, and he used to take me to trials with him, and I would sit second chair, and he would just guide me and tell me, you got this, you don't be anxious, everything's going to be fine. And he really taught me, how to litigate. And so I'm always.
Oh, hi. I lost you for a second. We were giving shout outs and lots of love to Juan, and then we lost you. Well, all right. So I really appreciate hearing about your mentors because I can tell that they played such a huge role in your life, and you are doing the same in the lives of others. Um, I want to talk a little bit more about family law because, as you mentioned, there's various areas, and um, people often don't think about the law until we actually have to because we have a problem or we run into some trouble. So for those who are tuning in, what do you think are some areas of family law that we need to know? Like, what are a few tips that you have related to family law that you sort of think everyone should have in their back pocket?
So people are funny because there's a lot of misinformation about family law. So one of the things I often hear is, well, if we have 50% time sharing, meaning like equal time sharing, then I don't have to pay child support, or my husband won't have to pay child support. And it doesn't work like that. There's a calculation and credits and things that we have to plug in order to see what that amount of support is going to be based on the income. So that's not true for Florida. The other thing I hear is, well, if he files first, then I don't get time sharing with my kids. It doesn't matter who files first. You can always file a counter, it's called a counter petition, to get, request the relief that you want from the court. So that's also a thing I hear. I don't know what's happening.
I still see you. I hear you.
Okay. We have something in Florida. I don't know if other states have this or not, but there's a Department of Revenue child support, which if you are getting benefits from the state, such as like food stamps, Medicaid, those kinds of things, you can apply through that to receive child support. And so oftentimes the fathers will come to my office and say, well, I got this order for child support, but I don't have any time sharing. And I'm like, yes, you don't have any time in order to get your rights established as the father. So that's another big thing that people get very confused about. So I would say those are the three things.
It's really helpful. And I think that the other thing that you pointed out is you're talking about Florida law. I'm licensed in Florida, you're licensed in Florida, but some of us are licensed in other places. I'm licensed in Georgia also, but people are licensed in many states. And for those of you who are watching, it's really important for us to check into the law in the states where we live, because the law can be different, and we need to make sure that if we're, encountering a problem, that we're talking to lawyers in our states where we live so we can figure out what our rights are. So thanks for lifting that up too, Christina. And all right, I, in my practice and in my work, I've focused on the rights of farm worker women and migrant women workers. Many of the individuals who I've had the honor to serve have been undocumented. And I
Yes.
just wanted to know, especially living in Florida where you are, what do you think some of the myths are that exist for undocumented community members when it comes to family law? And what do you think that we need to clear up so that people can understand what their rights are, whether they're documented or of any, immigration status?
Yeah, when you talk to me about that, I have a case that comes to mind. I went to a small county for a woman who she didn't speak Spanish. She spoke some type of Mexican dialect that was
Oh, an indigenous language.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting because she had gone to court without an attorney for the first time, and they stripped her of all her time sharing with her children, and they didn't give her proper translation services for her
Mm-hmm.
dialect. And it was a really tiny courthouse. I mean, I'm telling you, like no security in the courthouse. Like I walked right through, and I was like, that's how small this little town was, and it obviously was a migrant worker farmer community there. And for her, I was able to make sure that she needs to have the proper translation. You are violating her due process rights by removing her children from her without
Mm-hmm.
being able to understand what she's saying. And
Yeah.
so that judge was thankfully very patient, and he was like, Miss Alvarez, I was not trying to rip her of her due process rights. I understand these are her children. I'm going to give her temporary time sharing with them. And she was really happy about that because she felt defeated. She didn't have
Mm-hmm.
the correct representation. She didn't have the correct translations. And so that's one of the big things with my cases is we hire private translators for family law. The court does not provide in Orange County does not provide you with translation services for free if you are in a family law proceeding, which is horrendous. And we are
Yeah.
actually going to discuss that at the Hispanic Bar luncheon on July 23rd with one of the judges that he's Hispanic as well. And so that is a big problem, the lack of translations. And so when you go to an attorney, make sure that if you have family members or friends that don't speak English, that you have that discussion with them about the translations that are going to be provided, translations for text messages, and then obviously live testimony translation. It's really important. The other thing I see is, people are like, well, you're not going to get your kids because you're undocumented. No, it does not work like that. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
threat
Mm-hmm.
that I often see
Yeah.
with undocumented people.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's over, over the years, I've had the opportunity to represent some folks who are in similar situations. And the way that we've seen um, the rights of parents and the rights to their children be weaponized has actually been one of the saddest things I've seen over the past, 5 to 10 years, because for some of these immigrant individuals, their children are being used and to leverage something, right? Either to get more for one party or to punish people. And I just really appreciate you lifting up the points that you raised, because sometimes people don't know that they have the right to have things interpreted for them or translated for them. So thank you for fighting that fight. And
Absolutely.
but I think that for anyone who has to engage with the legal system, there are certain things that are overwhelming about it. And so, what do you say to people who come to you and say, I have this legal issue and I don't even know where to start? Like, what are some basic things that you think we should all know to ask or to think about if we're going to engage an attorney?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is like, what are your goals? I usually start with that. What is it that you're trying to accomplish here? because my job is to help you get to that peaceful place, and be able to move on with your life. And that's why I'm a big proponent of settlement, because we can do that quicker, faster, and frankly cheaper than if we go to a big, long, drawn out 2-year trial. So that's one of the things is, you know, think about what your goals really are here. You know, you have to be patient with the legal process. Obviously, COVID has made things much more difficult in terms of getting to hearings. And so people are often think, well, by the time I file for a trial, that they're going to go like the next month. And it unfortunately does not work like that. It takes a couple of months usually to even get to that trial date. So you definitely want to ask about like time frames in your county. You know, as far as like funds, how does the attorney do the replenishments? Because cheaper is not always better. Some attorneys work on flat fees, which is great. You know, some attorneys, like myself, we bill by the hour, and we ask for the replenishments when we get to a certain point. So you definitely want to know what you're doing as far as like billing, what contract you're going to be signing there. So yeah, I mean, I think that's, and then I also ask them, like, in a perfect world, what would you want to happen? Because then I can get an idea of where I need to set expectations.
Yeah, and you know, you're not using legalese, which is amazing because I think part of what makes the law overwhelming and sometimes people feel like ill-equipped to manage or to engage is because they feel like, you know, it's already hard. We don't know the system, we don't know the law. But then when people speak in language that we can't understand, it makes it even more challenging. So thanks for breaking it down.
Yeah, I think
So
about like when I go for a service, right? Like I go to get my hair done, let's say. I don't want to know what chemicals are in there and what you're using and how you're going to do it. Like, I just want you to make me blonde. Right? I want to know how much it costs to make me blonde. Like, I don't need to know the ins and outs of how you're going to make that happen. So I
yeah.
give it that way. Like, if I wanted a service, I don't need the technician to explain every single little thing to me. I just want to know, can you do this for me, and how much is this going to cost me?
Totally. Yeah. And it is make it as easy as possible because it's so hard as it is, right? And all right. So we have had an incredible conversation about, first of all, Christina's journey from the 10-year-old power attorney that she was in her classroom to becoming the owner of this incredible law firm in Florida and this leader in the community and within the Hispanic bar. And we've learned so much from you. And, you know, here at Poderistas, we just want to make sure that we are doing all that we can to lift up Latinas like you and Latinas all across our country who are doing incredible work. And for us, knowing a little bit about everything, our health and our rights and all of the things, it's important. But that's how we feel. We feel strongly about that. But I'd love to know from your vantage point, why do you think it's important for our community to know their rights?
Knowledge is power, and you don't know what you don't know. So if you are going through a family matter, and especially if you have little children involved, reach out for a consult. At least get a consult. Some attorneys will do free consults, and kind of walk you through the case for 30 minutes to an hour. It benefits you to take that time for yourself and for your family to really know what you're up against. I do not advise that you represent yourself, especially if there is an attorney on the other side. You know, we went to law school for 3 years, undergrad 4 years. We took the bar. You know, we know what we're doing. And there are things that sometimes when I go against pro se people, I see that they miss out on opportunities because they don't have representation, and it's unfortunate. So I, you know, definitely educate yourself, get that consult, listen to the professionals, and if you're going to hire an attorney, make sure that you all have trust and communication, and that attorney has compassion for you, because like I said, the family law stuff is very, very difficult emotionally.
Okay, so you have given us so many things to think about. And I know that people are saying, well, we want to learn more and we need to know who to follow and, you know, and how to continue learning about this. So who are some of the folks that you think that people should be following? Where can people get more information? How do people follow you? Will you share all of that with us so that we can make sure that we get people connected to the resources and people that they need to know?
Yeah, so you can follow me at C Alvarez Law. That's my firm page on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, same thing, C. Alvarez Law. My website is www.calvarezlaw.com, where I have my information for my email and how to call the office. If you are going through a situation with domestic violence in Orange County, I would follow Harbor House of Central Florida. They're an amazing nonprofit organization that helps women, specifically who are in domestic violence situations. There's also legal aid of Orange County Legal Aid. That's pro bono services for family law if you're not able to afford a family law attorney. And then there's also Mid-Florida Community Legal Services, which is in Osceola County. Same thing, it's pro bono if you're not able to afford an attorney. And so those are the 3 accounts that I would recommend.
Great. And you mentioned the Hispanic Bar. Let's give them a shout out and tell people where to follow them.
Same thing, Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida on Instagram and on Facebook. We are going to be having a luncheon with the Orange County Bar Association Young Lawyers section regarding the issue of the translations. Judge Luis Calderon, who used to be on the board actually of the organization, is going to be speaking about the issues with. And so if to come to that, because you're around, there's also a Zoom option, I believe. Please show your support. It's our first live event after COVID. So we're super excited about it, and I want to support, Laura Sanchez, who's now the president, and obviously the organization.
It's great. All right. So I just want to thank you for your time, for all that you've shared with us, for being amazing. And, we, as an organization, I just want you to know we are so appreciative of you. We honor you. We celebrate you. And we just can't wait to see you continue to rise, because you are lifting all of us up as you are rising. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope that everyone will follow Cristina, and I hope that you will join us for more of these conversations. If you have other topics that you would like us to cover, drop some comments in the comments section. And also huge shout out and much love to Hermanas in the Law for being our partners in these conversations. So thank you all so much. Cristina, big hugs, much love, and thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.